2023 онд Монгол улс Британи Монгол нэгэн хаан тулсын хооронд дипломат харилцаа тогтоосны 60 жилийн тохиож буй холбогдуулан элчин сайдын яам Британи Монголчуудын холбоо G-Studiomн хамтран хийж буй 7 хоног төтмийн Оюунлаг подкастыг та сонсож байна. Подкастын зорилго нь Британи улсад ажиллаж амьдарч буй үеийн монголчуудын төлөөлөл, Монголтой холбоотой төвлөрийн үйл ажиллагаа явуулдаг Британи иргэдийн төлөөлөлтэй ярилцаж тэдний мэддэг төрслөхөөс бүтээгч сонсогчтойгоо хуваалцахад иршнэ. За сайн байцгаана уу? Подкастынхаа энэ удаагийн дугаараар манай дараагийн үеийн төлөөлөл тэр дундаа Британи Монголын холимог гэр бүлүүд энд байдаг. Тэрний төрсөн хүүхдүүдийн төлөөллийн нэг болгож Маяа гинавадана-га өрөөдөн. За Маяаг бол ээжээр нь эмээгээр нь бол Британи монголчууд сайн мэднэ. Манай ламжийн өвчийн зэ охин Камбрижтэй ариун гэрлийн охин Маяа маань ийм охин байгаа. Тэгээд Маяатайгаа би англиар яриа явчихна. Тэгээд манайгаас энэ үеийн төлөөллийн ихэнх хүүхдүүд маань бол англиар ярьдаг. Монголоор бол нэг тийм төдийлөн сайн нэвтрэлж ойлголцтой таархан байгаа. Тэрийгээ бас яг хөө ингээд үзүүлээд яриад явчаа. So, hello Maya.
Hi.
Thanks for coming, accepting my invitation, being a guest in our podcast. This is a podcast that marks the 60th anniversary of a relationship between Britain and Mongolia, diplomatic relationship. So the ambassador initiated this podcast and asked me to host. So I'm trying to include all sorts of guests in my podcast guest list. One of them is there's a big mixed families here. I have a Facebook group. There's almost 200 people, basically 200 families there, mostly Mongolian ladies, a few Mongolian men, including me. So all those families, not all of them, but the majority of them have kids. So like you, mixed race kids. So therefore I want to include some of delegates from that group of people. So thanks for coming along again, and just introduce yourself. So to our guests, and you were born in London, yeah?
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
I was born in London and I'm 26 years old. So I grew up in West Sussex. I went to a small primary school in a village at the foot of the South Downs. And then for secondary school, I went to school in Gloucestershire. It was an international school. And then I finished school in Cambridge and then went to university in New York.
So that's basically
yeah. I've lived in quite a lot of different places.
Because the first time I saw you, I think it's usually the Mongol rally launch.
Yeah.
Organized in a Goodson Park at a race.
Yeah. Goodwood.
Goodwood.
Yeah.
Goodwood race track. So first time I saw you there, you were maybe about 10 years old girl, and your grandmother and mother came to the event, and first time I saw, I think it's about 15 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
So I think, see, look at you now.
I've grown up.
Grown up young lady. So one of those things basically my son told his childhood and the studenthood life stories, and then it seems the mixed race children have their own way of adapting this society, and they want, as a kids they want to be the same as the other kids, but obviously they look different, and the names are a little bit different. So as a kid, the kids pick up those things and call the names and things. And did you have that kind of experience when you were childhood?
Yeah, I think I did mostly at primary school. So obviously it was a village school. There weren't many other children who were
especially in West Sussex.
So most people were white. I think there was only one other child there who wasn't white. And everyone was lovely. The teachers were lovely, and it was in such a beautiful place. But there were definitely things that children, because I did look different, and I'd always been really tall. So I think there was that as well, where I think they would just pick on things that they didn't understand that,
Yeah.
and I also didn't understand, why I looked so different, you know. So there was that, and it did upset me. And I think as a child, you just want to fit in and want everyone to like you. And I don't think anyone disliked me because I was different, but you do feel it. And sometimes, I don't know, I'd cry, and my teachers or my mother would be like, "No, like, don't be silly. You're beautiful."
That's.
But there was that. And when I went to secondary school, I think it was a bit different because it was an international school. So, there were people from all over the world. There was one girl from Mongolia.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And I think that was really nice. I think to have exposure to that, sort of other cultures, and people to sort of be really proud of that. And it was.
I mean, as we discussed early on, and here the education system embraced the different culture, and so teachers know how to deal with that kind of situation, and so this also when I reflect back to how Mongolia was, or I don't know, still, because Mongolia is not exposed to international community as much as here. So, but here you can feel the embrace every nationality, every race.
Yeah.
So, as you said, kid is kid, and kids are kids, so they can do that kind of thing. So there's also when I spoke to our previous guests, they came here when they were about 10, 11 years old, with Mongolian mom and dad, but they also had a similar experience because, different. So I just want to, that's why I just want to, whether you experienced that one, obviously, as a kid. You've been through that one,
Yeah, I did a little bit, and I think, like you said, the experience your son had when he went to university was totally different to his experiences at school. And I did find that. I think even at university, it was still majority white, but there was some diversity, which was really nice. And I did a history degree, which meant that I learned about a lot of different places around the world, and I did my dissertation on the influence of the Mongol Empire on European identity.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting, and I think I said earlier, I mean, I read a source, and it was from the 1200s, and even then there were sources. It was a European who had gone to Mongolia, and he'd written a description of the land, the culture, the people. And even then, I could recognise things that he was writing about that are still in Mongolian culture to this day.
800 years after,
which I really liked. So that was interesting. But I think when you're growing up here, especially for me, I suppose, because I'm mixed race, so I sort of have two sides of myself to sort of identify with. I suppose you're just always trying to fit in. So I think I became a bit more unconsciously, just a bit more Western, because you're just, as a child, like you said, you just want to make sure that you just want everyone to like you. And I think when I moved to London, that's when I really sort of became confident in embracing my heritage. I mean, it's not that I was never proud, I've always been proud of it, but I think being around a city full of people who are from different backgrounds, from different ethnicities, and they're so happy to speak about it and learn about everyone else's, it sort of makes you realise that there's so much more about yourself that you don't know.
You've been in Mongolia. How many times have you been in Mongolia? I guess
probably 4 or 5 times. I went quite a lot when I was younger.
Yeah, usually because you're cheaper to bring to Mongolia. When you become teenage, then you have to pay, the parents have to pay the full price. Then frequency is getting lower. Yeah. So, did you go to countryside or mostly stayed in a...
Yeah, we went to, I think every time I've been to Mongolia, we've been to the countryside. I think we went to the town that my mother grew up in.
Arhanga.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, and I think it's nice to see where my mother lived and where she grew up. And it's a really beautiful town, with that sort of mountain.
Arhanga, yes, quite rocky mountain, forest, and nice river, Tamari River, flowing through the town center. We've been in Arhanga last summer. We were
really?
There. Yeah. It's a beautiful town, When did you go the last time?
I went, I think it was 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
So it was quite...
Maybe after that one, because Oling age, the statue of the Oling, the opposite of the Genghis Khan's big statue, now is everywhere. The metal big Genghis Khan statue.
Yeah, I know that.
So the opposite that one, your grandmother put up his mother's statue.
Oh, that's incredible.
So you need to go back.
Yeah, I definitely need
so you have to be, then you can tell your friends, my grandmother did this, and it's nice. I went there once, and so she's quite, because your grandmother, and she visited several times in the UK. The Mongolians in the UK call him, we call Undri. So she always came and tell her wise words to how we live in a different country, and that kind of thing. Mongolians here respect a lot. Yeah. You did the degree history. But tell me, what are you doing now?
Well,
because I saw your modeling photos on magazines and things, and she did history, and now she's in the fashion industry.
Yeah, I did quite a sort of career jump, I suppose. I've always really loved fashion. When I was growing up, I loved drawing, I loved being creative, and I think going to school, especially at my sixth form, which was quite academic, you're encouraged to do the traditional sort of subjects, and I love history. I'm good at it. It's really interesting. I think it's very important, but I also really love clothes and fashion. So I left university and I moved to London and did a lot of unpaid internships, which is about 9 months worth of unpaid internships. So Monday to Friday doing those, and then at the weekend I had a part-time job. And
I see. Okay.
My parents were very supportive of this, which was really nice of them. And then I got a job at the company I currently work at, called Net A Porter, and they sell luxury fashion goods. They have an editorial and marketing team, which is what I'm on. So I do styling. I sort of assist my director on bigger shoots, but I do a lot of my own styling at the moment, which is really nice.
You mean styling people, specific people, or styling clothes, or
I'll style clothes, I'll style for brands that we sell. So a lot of that. I do reels for Instagram, which has been also really interesting, because I suppose video is so totally different to sort of taking pictures. And then I've also been in a few shoots as well for work, which is really nice. And I suppose in an industry like fashion, it's quite hard to stand out. And I think you mentioned this earlier, that you've spoken with someone who's mixed race, and they said that they enjoy now that they're different and that they can be unique. And I definitely felt that in fashion. I'm really tall, I definitely look quite ambiguous at times, so it's nice that sort of people remember me.
Yeah, I think I told my daughter's story.
Yeah.
Her name is Zaya, and she's not tall as you are, but she's quite tall. So she said, she can be noticed and very easily, and look different and be tall, and so that's another advantage of being mixed race.
Yeah.
So embrace it and enjoy being different, and So, what company is that? And the name of your?
It's called Net A Porter.
Net A Porter. Okay. You've been also modeling, I just mentioned. What magazine was it? Because I shared your. I like sharing the stories our mixed race people doing, and on Twitter. I don't do Instagram. It's just so difficult. I don't know. Using so many different functions there, but which one is a story, which one is a post, a bit confusing. I guess if you start using it, then maybe you will get used to it. But I thought you were modeling. Then I realized, I don't know. Then your mom told me you're in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
And is that your style, or is it someone's style you're modeling? Or?
So I think when I do my work, I always try and bring. Well, some advice that I've actually been given is to always try and bring your personal style to it, because that's what's important. But you have to do that whilst juggling, let's say, what the brand you're styling wants from your work, and also then I have to remember that I work for a luxury fashion company, and so I need to keep it very elevated. It needs to look luxurious. It can't look tacky and things like that. So there's a lot of things to juggle. Sometimes if you're doing a shoot with multiple brands, you need to make sure that they've all got sort of even visibility. You know, they need to all have equal opportunities to be shown in a shoot. And so there's also that aspect of it. And then...
Oh, I see. It's lots of things you have to follow.
There's actually, I feel like as I've got more experience, I've realised there's actually so much to like take into account. And then you need to remember the model sizes, you know, especially if, I think now, which is so great, there's more size diversity. So you need to take into account, you know, what looks better on some people and maybe what doesn't look better. And then I also like to be very respectful of, you know, again, making sure that there are diverse models. You know, I think because I sometimes help pick models, I think I always like to include people from different backgrounds because I think that's nice. It's the way the world is. And I think as someone who's mixed race, you definitely pick up on, especially I suppose in the current climate, the companies are very focused on, I don't know, being diverse, being inclusive, but I think sometimes it's not very authentic. And I think it's quite nice for me as someone who those things are personally important to let that translate into my work. But the company I work for are very lovely. They're very inclusive.
So, fashion. The Mongolians are very fashionable people, actually. I guess you notice we have lots of different, you know, costumes, designs, and your mother is very creative. She always designing the furniture, the small furnitures, as a old Mongolian traditional way. Maybe you picked up your creativity from your mom's side, maybe your dad's side as well. So, is there any kind of thought how to bring Mongolian? Have you studied the Mongolian fashion side, or is it?
I think when I was younger, I really loved it. You know, I had dolls that sort of wear Mongolian clothes, and I think my mother, when I've seen her wear Mongolian clothes, she's always looked so beautiful, and she's a very elegant woman. So.
Yeah, she is.
So I think there's that to it. I think I would like to wear more Mongolian clothes in my everyday as well, because I think it's like you said, it's so beautiful, you know, and also, I don't know, the colours and the intricacy of it, and also the history behind it.
Yeah. So I want you, because you are working in the fashion industry now, because you are the now bridge to bring Mongolian kind of fashion into that industry. So hope you will, you know, keep that kind of thought in your mind, and one day when you're styling, then put some Mongolian.
I was out when I'm at work, you know, like I think a lot of luxury fashion brands have their cashmere made in Mongolia. So when I look at the labels, I'm always like, oh, like this is sort of a little
very
bit
close
of
to it. Almost like you made it or your relatives made it.
I know, and I'm always like, oh guys, this was made in Mongolia.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Do you mix with Mongolians here, Mongolian mixed race kids, or Mongolian kids here? Or?
No, I think when I meet my mother's friends' children, that's the only time. I think in daily life, you know, at work or at school and stuff, I didn't really meet many Mongolian.
I think also it's our fault because we didn't really mix our children a lot. When we organize an atom, it's just once a year. We enjoyed ourselves instead of trying to mix. And I guess we need to think about that one to bring up our next generation. You need to know each other as well, isn't it? I remember your Unro's daughter, Anu, and you were kind of close, yeah?
Yeah, we were. She's very lovely.
Yeah, she is.
But it is really nice to meet people who are from a similar background and again, like have a similar experiences to you, because it's something to connect over.
Yeah, connect. You don't have to be best friends, but just like, getting to know each other.
It's nice. I think it's it's a comforting thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a similar background and
yeah.
So, okay. Anything else you want to say?
I think actually this is something I've sort of been thinking about a lot recently, because I mean, I've been with my boyfriend for quite a while and he's English, and he's obviously really interested in my heritage, but it's something that I feel very excited to show him. So, you know, one day I really hope that, I think this will happen soon, I hope so, that we'll go to Mongolia and meet my family. And I genuinely think about it a lot because I really want that to happen, you know. I really want to show him where my mother's from, you know, where I'm from. Yeah. And, you know, a place that I have a huge connection to. I
think it brings me, what my son was telling me, because we went to Mongolia this summer. He wants to bring lots of his friends. He wants to, I guess, similar thoughts in his mind. I guess show around where he come from, where his dad, come from, that kind of thing. I assume every Mongolian mixed children have similar kind of thoughts and something to look forward.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine that. I think I don't have this as much anymore, but I think sometimes you sort of want to feel a sense of belonging. And obviously I feel like I belong in the UK, it's my home, but I think there's part of you where you have another connection to another place, and it's a big part of your life. So it's it's quite nice to show people that, because that's another place that you belong.
Yeah. So thanks for telling all this, your feelings and thoughts, because I'm not half. So because we've been trying to understand, we don't exactly feel what you feel, but we're just trying to talk through and trying to understand. But when you you are mixed race people talking about their feelings, it's nice. And thanks for telling your side of the stories. And so I hope you'll come to Mongolia soon with your boyfriend and show off your Mongolian heritage. And so
Well, thank you very much for having me.
So thank you very much, Maya.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't believe that went by so quickly.
Yes, it does. It does go quickly.